to Conversation with a Geographer. I'm Mike DeVivo, professor of geography at Grand Rapids Community College. And today, we're really fortunate to have Chris Lukenbiel, professor of geography at the University of Arizona. Chris, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You know, we're really looking forward to you being able to share your biography and your stories about your career. As we discuss in all of these interviews, just about, can you comment on how you got inspired to pursue geography as a field of study? Was there anything in your childhood that might have captivated you?
Yeah, I like to say that the story is maybe twofold. Usually there's a person involved, a geographer too, but I'm a Navy brat. My father was a captain in the Navy when he retired, and moving around the U.S. a lot, not internationally, but spending, traveling East Coast, West Coast, moving every 2 years. That just really inspired me to, all the diversity of landscapes and stuff. And then finally, when I started college early on in Eugene, Oregon, I started at Lane Community College.
Really?
Yes, with Joe Searle. And
Joe Searle, he was an adjunct at the U of O as well.
Yes,
He was very devoted to geographic education.
Very much so, and a cultural geographer and a connoisseur of cultural landscapes too, and took all of his classes at Lane Community College, and I started at U of O in geography because of him. Mm-hmm. He passed away pretty recently, but I kept in touch with him off and on. But yeah, he was the first one that got me into geography, and then was a landscaper for a number of years, like 15, 20 years in my...
And Eugene?
In Eugene and in the San Francisco Bay Area. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to work the cruise. In Eugene, you'd put the rain gear on for 8 months a year. Yeah. But then in the Bay Area, I went to Cal State Hayward, and a slew of cultural geographers really got me involved in I would say the Sauer tradition. Mm-hmm. Mainly, Tina Kennedy was new there at the time, with the first female geographer hired at Cal State Hayward, which was great. But David Larson and Herb Eater and Scott Stein, David Wu, they had a wonderful geography department back in the day at Cal State Hayward.
They were really influential for quite some time. I guess now it's called East Bay.
Yeah, and at the time they were, what was it, 80s? Very much a Sauer secondary school.
Right.
Most of them were out of Berkeley. So getting that sort of traditional cultural geography training really inspired me. Yeah.
And then, so go ahead. And so you took a bachelor's degree at Hayward State.
I did a bachelor's of science, and I did my master's there as well. And then I went down to San Diego State right when they started the SDSU Santa Barbara degree, that dual degree program.
That was in the mid-90s, right?
I graduated in 2000, started in 95, and I was in the first 10 people to graduate from the program. So that was pretty exciting. I worked with Stuart Aiken.
Wonderful fellow.
Yeah.
An exemplary geographer.
I was really excited at the time because he had just came out with the Geography of Film book with Leo Zahn. And so I went down there to work on the early roots of film geography back in the day in the 90s. And that was a great program at the time. Mm-hmm.
Who else did you work with there that may have influenced you or
oh my gosh, well, Larry Ford.
Ford, certainly.
Larry and Stu at San Diego, and Keith Clark for cartography GIS at Santa Barbara, and Jim Proctor, who ended up at Willamette University in the Environmental Studies department. But those four were.
I mean, that's a pretty stellar crew to have on your on your committee, or as advisors, I should say, for sure. Especially, I mean, Larry Ford. I don't know. There are not many people that trekked in as many cities as he has across the globe.
Oh, his lectures were always inspirational. They'd always include jokes and fun tidbits of information on the cities. Yeah.
Any colleagues in particular that you found to be really captivating individuals that assisted you in the way that you move forward at San Diego State?
In that days, I know you did an interview with Irene Nass.
Yes.
At Orange County Community College. She was a peer of mine.
Very nice and very good at geographic education.
Yeah. I would say Reg College at Santa Barbara. If you talk about GeoEd, I remember going out and doing kindergarten and first grade lectures on mental maps because of him, during the awareness weeks.
Reg College was a wonderful fellow as well, and a stellar geographer. He actually attended a presentation I delivered at an NCGE meeting where I talked about leadership in academic geography, and he asked me to have it published, and I later worked on it some more, and it became my book in leadership. But
I know that's what I was thinking about. I have the book right over there.
Well, thanks. So you had a wonderful group of advisors and mentors and colleagues. So there you were at San Diego State. What were you engaged in as far as your research went?
I at the time was doing. What did I do for the dissertation? I did research with the San Diego Film Commission.
Right.
So it was kind of at the period of that postmodernism where the new cultural geographers were looking at representations. Old cultural geographers were doing field work. So I was trying to combine a little bit of both by getting out in the field and looking at the locations filmed in San Diego, putting them on maps, and then trying to figure out, the representation side of it too, which was really, really fun. I don't think they have a film commission there anymore today, but they were really big with bad television shows on the cable networks in the 90s, like Renegade and Stu. What was it? Stu Seagal Productions, was it? Yeah. Silk Stockings. That was the other big one.
Silk Stockings. Oh, I can imagine. Well, and you've done that research or something like it anyway throughout your career. I recall looking at some of your presentations at AAG meetings where you examined film and engaged in really the interpretation of the landscape around it. Exactly.
That for me, I'd started that in my master's. That cinema was for me just a part of landscape, but more of the Dennis Cosgrove kind of tradition of pictorial landscapes, but in the modern form, where you have instead of the paintings, you have pictures in motion. So that's why I really got into it, and I've stayed with it ever since. Yeah.
Well, there aren't many of you people involved in film and geography, although it seems to be a growing field.
Yeah, no, it became that there's a media and communications specialty group now in the AAG, and and as well as the film showing group with Joseph Palis and Jessica Jacobs. So yeah, it's grown quite a bit and diversified. I later got involved with media geography, things like doing like media geographies with Susan Maines and Julie Couples, things like that. But yeah, it's become a lot more prominent with today's mediated societies and digital communities,
Absolutely. Well, going back to San Diego State, so you took a PhD in 2000. Talk about what happened after that.
So I should mention, out of that first 10 people, the two other prominent names I can think of is John Rogan, who's a professor at Clark University, and Jennifer Miller, who's professor and chair at UC Austin, Texas, right now. We're also in my cohort. And when I got out of there, and I have to say thanks to Mike DeVivo, I did the one thing that I should say, do not do this in your PhD, which was I hosted the California Geographic Society conference and chaired that so that I could get my committee members from Santa Barbara down for the session. And I think, asked them to present, and then defended my dissertation during the conference. But Mike helped me get connected with Leo Yatcher, which got me my first job at Southern Connecticut State University, which was a wonderful place to be for. Was there for 3 years, 2000 through 2003. Yeah.
And New Haven has its assets and liabilities. Tell me, what was your favorite pizza place in New Haven?
Pepe's, of course.
You're a Pepe's guy.
I was a Pepe's guy, yeah.
There's Pepe's or Sally's. What are you going to choose,
It was Pepe's for me.
Okay. And so from New Haven, you then went to Tempe, I guess, huh?
I was hired at Arizona State University. Was fortunate to work with Dan Ariola, a prominent cultural geographer on the U.S.-Mexico border, and Kevin McHugh, who's a cultural geographer as well, does all kinds of things. Kevin's still there. Was there 2003 through 2010, and got really involved with their Masters in GIS program there, and really enjoyed it. Just started doing night school a lot more. And I still do that today with the MSGIST program at the U of A. But at ASU, it was great. It's the professional community. So it'd be like your students would go. It was really nice to be able to answer the question that I couldn't to my parents in my youth of, what are you going to do with that geography degree? Teach? And I'm like, well, yeah, I did that, but now I can get students jobs in, with the geographic technologies, which is really nice. Yeah.
And where were they getting jobs at the time?
Oh my goodness. We started that program in 2003, and it's still going strong today. I think it's the third largest in the U.S. in terms of degrees granted in the last decade. In 2003, in the early years, it was a lot was government work or city, county work, but it would be all branches. So people would think of IT departments and planning, but it could be transportation, neighborhoods. We had a few in the assessor's offices. They went everywhere. Today, after, I guess I've been doing it for 20 years in the state of Arizona. I have over 300 alumni in the state alone that are working just in various positions. It's amazing the diversity of jobs you can get with GIS these days.
Certainly. Can you provide some input as we discuss this with regard to the value of a geographical perspective while engaged in GIS analysis? And I ask this because there are so many GIS programs that are developing today that are outside of geography programs. Would you care to comment on that for a moment?
Oh, yeah. I like to say that my skill as a cartographer, I'm a cultural geographer and cartographer, is spatial thinking. Just the how do you logically think about space and place, and how would you apply those sort of logical constructs into technology? So oftentimes I can solve problems for people just as a geographer and then translate it into the technology. So I find a lot of times with students that I get, it's kind of teaching them that spatial thinking skills, how to go about problem solving with space is as you know, is a little different than just problem solving without thinking of space and place.
Well, absolutely. And it requires us as geographers to oftentimes integrate a number of different phenomena, on really basically different coverages and integrating them to examine a landscape. Sometimes we do this mentally, and then there are those times that we might be able to do it visually and explain these phenomena to others. But this is something I think that geographers are accustomed to doing, and other disciplines or other fields may be more inclined to engage in the technological application without engaging in the analysis.
Or without engaging in the thought of it too, how to think about it differently. That's been really exciting. I think that's also, for me, the technologies, and as well as got me into as I mentioned with Reg College, I got into geographic education early on with the K through 12, and then later more in the higher education. But I felt like that was really like bringing those two pieces together, showing the modern geography is lodged in, if you have the technology education as well, you're gonna do pretty well in a career.
Well, and you inferred a moment ago that there is great value in having some cartographic skill as well, which is quite different than merely engaging in the GIS application, but in terms of being able to design a thematic map, and that will be easily interpreted by the intended audience.
So well over 25 years of teaching cartography now, I can still say, if one student can make a really nice looking map and the other person can't, the one that can is going to get the job. It really counts for something, and it makes people stand out in their groups too. Especially today with the maps going with web mapping and stuff too, that the whole process of the aesthetics and applying the cartographic conventions at multiple scales has gotten a little more complex. But if you take the same principles, that what I just spoke of, the person that's going to get the job is going to be the better cartographer. Yeah. So
you want your product to look good.
Yeah. So I want my students to all know cartography very well, because it has paid off. It's been a proven remedy to getting jobs out there.
Well, certainly employment for geographers is very important. That's for sure. And one thing that I guess GIS has brought to the table is a high level of employability for geographers in the workforce, whether it's in the private sector or in the government sector.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about your service to the profession, if you will. Or you talked about organizing the California Geographical Society Conference at San Diego State in 2000. And you've been a very important officer in the Association of Pacific Coast Geographers, serving as president not too long ago. Can you comment on the value of engaging in that kind of service?
Oh, yeah. I started with the CalGeog in the late 80s and APCG in 1990. I did NESVL in New England for a little while when I was there with Leon. As well as I've been with the AAG. I'm a lifetime member of the AAG as well. But I've preferred to do my service more locally, I would say. Like I feel that for me, the impact's been a lot greater. I want to say that my peers and mentors like yourself and others I've met at the regional conferences, and people like Jenny Zorn and
Wonderful
other,
geographer.
yeah, and other past presidents of APCG have it's just delightful to go back to those conferences and see the people that inspired me and their presentations. And I think it's really something when you're just starting in the field to be young and be thrown in with. I remember my first session at the APCG had Larry Ford in it, and I was just like in awe that I'm in a session with Larry. I wasn't at San Diego State at the time, but things like that were really it made me want to be involved. It made me want to come back and do things, and so I hosted the what did we do? The Western Graduate School conference before the CGS in '98, I think it was. We had, oh my goodness, I can't remember who we had, but we hosted that conference, and I did 2 conferences for the APCG. One in Phoenix at ASU with Dan Ariola, and hosted one down here in Tucson in 2014 when I was vice president, and as you mentioned, president after that. But yeah, no, I feel like service is the way to get networked, to get connected, to kind of know what's going on in your field too. And the APCG is rich in cultural geography, which was very helpful for me. Yeah, and sometimes you get at the AAG and it's just so big. You don't know where to go and what to do. And
it is big.
The regionals can really help you with kind of getting connected a little bit better.
Well, I mean, the AAG has had conferences or annual meetings with 10,000 or so. I mean, the most recent one wasn't, and we expect, I think, 5,000 in Hawaii. But that's a far cry from the 1 to 300 or so that are going to come to the Association of Pacific Coast Geographers annual meeting. And being in the Pacific Coast region, it's usually in an interesting place.
Yeah, that's true. I should mention, though, that I have done a lot of service with the AAG. It's just usually been at a smaller role. So the last time that they were at Hawaii, I think it was 97, we started I think I did 15 sessions on film geography there. And then we followed it up for like 5 or 6 years with film and media. And it became kind of a regular session thing that led to the media specialty group. And a couple books as well, came out of that. But it really helped us spawn a larger movement within the sort of media geography community, nationally and internationally. And so I'm very thankful for, having done that as well.
Well,
and
those
with just one other one I can think of, it was more APCG, but AAG related, was I served for a long time as the geography bowl coach for the APCG at the AAG. And also before that was a student on the Pacific Coast team. And that was wonderful because you not only get to meet all the other regional groups, but you'd get a night out at the AAG and make a little money as a student. It was quite delightful.
But again, you're developing a friendship network of colleagues that will persist over the course of years, that you can rely on for collaboration and future research, or for some sound critique of your own work. And so it's not just a matter of networking to get ahead, but in a way, it's really engaging in or with a community so that you can make yourself better to contribute really to society in a better way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The research connections are just as important as the job and network connections. I would say that's one of the reasons why I go to Germany a lot now, is some of the early connections made with researchers there in Mainz that do media geography work. But we started back in the early 2000s at AAG sessions, doing papers together and stuff like that. So it's definitely just knowing who to reach out to ask questions of, for the in-depth questions is so nice to have.
And it's important for not just, again, your career to blossom, but for the field to develop even further with this kind of cross-collaboration, this cross-pollination, I should say, of ideas. It's very important. And so you have a great opportunity. So you're going to Germany next month, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. Going there and teach a seminar on media geography. Been going there, as I mentioned, since 2003, actually, but University of Johannes Gutenberg University at Mainz. They have a media or geography, media, and globalization master's degree. And it's because it's one of the regional capitals of Germany and has one of the regional PBS local there. So they trying to connect in with their community.
Well, that's great. It sounds like it's a wonderful opportunity, and you'll be able to bring back the knowledge that you've gained there to your students in Tucson, for sure.
Yeah, and I have been teaching there for about 4 or 5 years. We have a book series with them too, with Steiner Verlag, the Media Geography at Mainz, one of the more famous media geography book series. There's about 6 maybe we're up to 9 now. Somewhere in there. Yeah.
Really?
It's been quite popular since 2008. At the start, the Cinematic World, we had the first international symposium on film and geography.
And you say Springer is the publisher?
Steiner Verlag out of Germany is, Oh, that's Springer in the U.S.?
Well, I call it Springer, but yeah, Springer Verlag. Yeah, okay. They do work. Great editors.
Yeah, that's been a great series to be working with that university on. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, Chris, about other aspects of your research, because you've done some peripheral things as well. For example, I recall there was a time when there was an unfriendly sheriff in Maricopa County that you conducted some research on. Would you care to comment on that?
Well, yes, I'm mostly known for my film geography and media work, but if you look me up and go to my research page at U of A, I've done all kinds of work within cultural geography. And that's, I think, one of the best things of being a geographer is that it's like, don't put me in a box. I'm a geographer. I'll go wherever I want. So even my, that was the Joe Arpaio paper that you're speaking of, which I was more writing about the commentary of living there. It seems kind of trite to talk about Joe with the world of Trump today, but new publications I do a lot of work all over the place. So when I was at ASU, I did a lot of work with Dan Ariola on urban colonias in Phoenix and cotton camps, the history of that. More recently, I just published one on the response to COVID-19 in terms of being able to develop and organize online learning communities with, that was in Stan Bruhn's book on COVID-19 and the world of ad hoc geographies, and did a historical GIS analysis of redlining, comparing Boston, Detroit, and LA then and now, with population demographics using GIS, and showing how segregation, is generational and still, still occurring in the red line districts. So that's the fun part of being a geographer, is just like you don't get constrained into one area, but you can kind of pursue your fancy around quite a bit.
Well, I think that's important for us to mention here. I'll ask you now about colleagues at the U of A. I know that Jan Monk was a wonderful colleague for some time. Would you care to, and you really had an especially close relationship with her. Would you care to comment on that?
Oh, geez, yeah. Jan and I go way back. I was just asked to give my presidential papers to the APCG archive, which is kind of a joke because there's really not a lot of papers to give. But I found all my pictures from the 2005 conference at the APCG. That's when Jan was, she was either president or just stepping down as president of the AAG, and had pictures of her in there. But she's been, a mentor of mine for decades now, and must have retired in the early, even might have retired before I started at U of A at 2010, but was there every day up until COVID. Just a diehard, and the top 4 publishers in the department, as a retired faculty. And her work. It's just, it's equally geographic education as well as feminism, and amazing. She had these amazing collections of women at work, just all over the world. But when COVID hit, she got really sick and with Alzheimer's. And so I helped take care of her for a number of years. And she's now at a retirement community now, doing quite well. But yeah, so we hung out. She was my companion during COVID, and we hung out together.
She's a wonderful person and a wonderful geographer, and she's contributed so much to the field.
Oh yeah, she was a delightful colleague to have. I've seen that another department change over a bit at U of A with a lot of the senior faculty like Sally Marston and Diana Lieberman. David Plain, for goodness sakes. A wonderful population geographer, retiring, and a lot of new faculty coming in. So I felt like we had 3 Regents faculty retired: Diana, Sally, and Connie Woodhouse, who was a tree ring lab researcher. Just these amazing geographers, just retiring. It's like, how do you replace them? And then you just get these amazing new geographers coming in too as well, which is really cool.
Well, there's certainly a lot of good new geographers coming into the field and practicing their craft.
Oh yeah, I'm starting to feel I'm the silver haired of which is it's a nice role to be in too, where you can bring a little levity and peace, hopefully, to the newer junior faculty. With some mentoring.
Well, look, well, Chris, we have about a minute to go here, and I'm going to ask you to reflect upon your career. Think about, the years from Lane Community College to Hayward State to San Diego State to Southern Connecticut, Arizona State, U of A, and Tucson. Think about the people you've come in contact with along the way, and with the knowledge that you have now, do you have any solid advice you might wish to give to aspiring students who are interested in pursuing the craft of geography, or maybe even graduate students?
Yeah. I would say service is not service is one of my phrases I like to say, that getting out and meeting people in the community and connecting with other geographers. It's just, there's so much joy in that. And you learn so much more by helping support a larger group or getting involved at the community level, but especially with other geographers. And not being afraid to have as many mentors as you can possibly have. Just I've always been committed to reaching out and asking others for advice and getting feedback. That you know that you've gotten to a point when you know what the advice is going to be coming back at you, but you ask anyway because it's really nice to just have confirmation. But it's pretty special to have those mentorships, over time. I think those things have really helped me out a lot in my career. I'd highly recommend that.
Well, you've certainly reached a pinnacle of sorts, and I suspect you'll even go beyond it. But you've done pretty well for yourself, that's for sure. And it's been a privilege to know you all of these years.
Oh, yes. It's been great to know you as well.
Chris, I think we'll have to sign off on this episode in just a second, but I just want to say thank you for joining us today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. It was really fun chatting with you.
It has been. And this concludes today's episode of Conversation with a Geographer.